What happens? Recording has been started. You record. I guess it's fine. So, yeah. Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Thank you so much for doing this. It really means a lot to me because you will be the first guys I ever interview. So it's like a big step for me.
Wow.
Oh, well, thanks.
That's nice to hear.
Probably we're good to start with because we're not that interesting. So,
bullshit.
no, you make a mistake. It's like we make interesting drawings, I guess, but the reality is like we sit here and draw all day.
Well, when you put it like that.
Circles.
Yeah.
Just making circles. Just right off the bat, I wanna just say that, as you know, I'm not English, so if I stumble across the words, just, I'll get there.
It's okay.
Great, awesome.
At least you have an excuse for speaking English poorly. I have no excuse.
You're not speaking English poorly. How many languages do you know?
Oh, fuck. Danish, Swedish, Norwegian, German, French, a little Spanish, a little Latin, and English.
All right.
Damn, you should be like a spy or something. You could go all over the place and gather information and stuff.
I can go to all the Nordic places, and that's about it, and nothing happens there. But it's just Danish, Swedish, and Norwegian is so similar. Like, you just say the words different, but it's basically the same thing you say.
Mm-hmm.
And the Spanish is just, what you learn in school. So let's see here. I just want to bring up a thing so I can read the questions, because we actually got a lot of questions from the people who watch my shit. So let's see here. There we go. Super prepared. Okay. So, first of all, I think that we should start with the questions that I have written down, and then we can go on to the viewers' questions. How do you feel about that?
That's great.
Super. First of all, are you making a living off of Dreamkeepers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say 2013 is the first year that we actually had the bills all handled by it, and that was exciting because we've been like ever since 2004, 2005. I was like, I want to do this for a living. So, yeah, at the moment it's actually off the ground and carrying us. It's not guaranteed to be that way all the time, but it's come a long way.
And I actually picked up some a part-time job 2 months ago to make things a little easier on him.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have such a time restraint with making the books.
Yeah.
So we are living off of it, but I'm also out doing stuff too.
What stuff is that?
I'm working at Goodwill. It's a donation clothing facility.
Yeah? That's very nice of you.
Oh. Well, they're paying me to do it, so.
And they have cheap ties.
Cheap ties.
Ties are cool.
But we were doing a living off Dreamkeepers, and I just wanted to do something to get out of the house.
Yeah.
Make it easier on us. So we're really almost there.
Yeah, it's always a good thing to have something you can fall back on in case things don't work out as you intended.
Right, or you want to get pizza tonight, but according to the budget, not so much.
Yeah.
Then a little side job will be like, hey, pizza and a Pepsi.
Woo!
I'm rolling.
Just throwing them bills out. So, what's it like in the daily life of webcomic artists or authors?
I don't know. Should we just go from morning to?
I know a lot of people would love to sleep until 2 or 3 p.m. and then wake up and do their thing. But Dave actually gets up at 8 or 9 and starts drawing right away.
It's because it's sort of like when you look at every day, it's not like you're looking at I got to put in X number of hours and then I'm good. It's Miller time. It's I have the entire book in my head. I have all the pages. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much work to do. I want to get it done by this date. So you really look at every day in terms of how much of this huge amount of work, what am I going to target and get done today? And you've got to know what you want to try to do, And so then you kind of have to get up early because you got to like be working on it a lot. So yeah, so it's just, Cosmo, you're not a part of this interview.
He's gonna be a part of the interview.
Oh no.
Well, I told you if he's out here, he's gonna.
I'm gonna put his name in brackets in the video.
Yeah, if you hear like any like little muttery golems speak in the background, that's
You
Cosmo.
should have put him in the other room. It's that or get him out.
All right, we'll consider it. Cosmo, you're on probation. But yeah, you get up early, you have a lot of stuff you want to do, and you just kind of work on it all day. And it's not the most exciting thing to talk about, but I really like doing it. So it's fun for me to just sit there and do it all day.
Yeah.
He likes to watch YouTube videos while I work, so we get stuff from the library.
Yeah.
Okay, so like you set up various goals for each day. So like I'm gonna try and do this amount of pages or this amount of line work, and then if you don't do that one day, you might say, okay, I didn't quite finish this day, so maybe tomorrow or something.
Yeah, and like every day I kind of try to get like a set of work for that day that's like the same type of work, because if I have everything set up to do like pencil blues and I get in that groove, then it kind of takes time to shift gears. Like if I'm going to do a page, I don't start the day and do the thumbnails for the page and then the blues for the page and then the pencils for the page, because each time you go in between that, it's like switching gears mentally and getting different equipment out, and so it just kind of takes time. Whereas if I get in a groove where I'm like, okay, today I'm going to do thumbnails, and like those parts of the brain get warmed up and like they're running smooth, and once you get to the point where you're doing thumbnails and you're like in that groove, it's like you just want to do as many of those in that day as you can, so that way you get long-term maximized efficiency, I guess.
Yeah, as I keep saying on my show, I have drawn myself a little, so I completely understand the difference between like sketching and inking and stuff like that. Like you just go from like you want to keep being in that same field as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because like there's an entirely different feeling of the easy touch with the pencil when sketching, and like the more firm when you're inking and stuff like that. So yeah, it's something that you need to get used to, I can imagine. Next question. Oh well, do you have anything?
I was going to say that we don't ink. Well, I know a lot of comic people do, but what happens is Dave does the pencils really dark and he scans them in the computer and then alters it a little bit, and that saves time.
Well, funny thing that you mentioned it. Obviously, I have your books right here, and that's also a thing that I will be covering in the review. Is that the lines are very like you can easily see how they're not completely linear lines. Like sometimes you'll see a brush stroke outside, and I really think that helps giving it the charm that it has. So I really encourage. Just keep doing that. It really looks good.
Thank you.
Next question. How did you get started?
Started like with drawing?
Well, with Dreamkeepers in particular.
Dreamkeepers in particular, like the idea for Dreamkeepers kind of sprung when I was in college. I had a roommate that would have like just terrible nightmares, and so one day he was like, it'd be really nice if there was something in my dreams that would just like protect me from these nightmares and get them off my back. And we were like, we were in college and we were thinking about cartoons and stuff because it was art college. So we were like, yeah, that would actually be a pretty cool idea for like a cartoon or something.
And I came in 2007, 2006 when his roommate moved away, and started helping Dave with the color blocking and some of the story.
Yeah.
But keep in mind that Dave has been doing comics since high school.
Well, not good comics.
So he's done a few other things before Dreamkeepers came along.
Yeah, I did have a comic you may not have heard of yet in my high school days called Tech War. Yeah, I think we're still waiting for the release on that. It's gonna be big.
I think it was like G.I. Joe's meets like what is that, BattleTech?
BattleTech, yeah.
Yeah.
Exo Squad kind of.
Okay.
Oh,
We're not gonna see that.
now you're just saying all the right things. Oh, so you got another thing coming out, the Tech Squad thing?
No, that was just a joke. It was like what I drawn in high school.
Yeah, it's not. You don't want to look at that.
Okay, so help me out here a little, because in Denmark we actually don't have middle school, high school, and all that stuff. We just have school, and then we have college. So how old were you in high school when you started making
Well, actually, Tech War, I started that when I was in middle school. I was 12 years old. So 12 years old, I started being like, I went from just drawing like a shark eating people on a paper to like panels of a shark.
You're gonna hit me with your little.
It's a love.
I know.
How a relationship
When we talk
started.
about things, you're gonna hit me with them because you're sitting so close.
It's okay, you're adorable.
Okay. There's eating things.
Yeah, sharks eating
Okay.
things. I was almost going to be a shark scientist until I was like, danger.
It's too much work, and there's
Yeah.
the teeth.
Well, that means I go outside.
And meet people, and I'll have to wear pants.
Yeah.
Pants wearing.
Next question is, was Dreamkeepers always supposed to be what it is now, or has it grown into its own thing?
It was supposed to be an animated TV show pitch.
Mhm.
Yeah.
One of those things where you put together a brief summary, you show 5 characters, you take it to Cartoon Network,
Yeah.
and then let them run away with it.
Yeah, that's what we were like getting it ready for in college. But there was like a visiting guy that talked to us, and I was like, "So how does it work when you pitch a show?" And he's like, "Oh, it's great. After you pitch 4 or 5 shows, and they get just taken away from you and ruined, eventually you might get creative input on something." And so I was like, "That's cool, but I kind of like this idea." So we decided, you know what? If I make it a comic, I can make it just the way I want, and then we'll see if that goes anywhere else.
I can actually totally see this as a cartoon. Like maybe a more adult-themed cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would actually be really awesome to see. And I think that you actually have a lot to go on. Like you got the 3 books. How many books have you released?
3.
3. Okay, good.
Uh,
I'm just going for what I got. So you got 3 books, and you got the entire prelude. So you have this entire established universe. You can make tons of shit with that. So I can easily see that become a cartoon. And like you can go up to someone and say, "Look, I got all this shit. I got it all planned out." So yeah, that's a strong possibility that I can imagine. I don't know how that stuff works, but.
Yeah, I feel like I want to get like some more steam rolling behind us before I try anything larger scale. Because the thing is, like, the bigger we are, the more readers know about us. The more like there's like an established like, oh, Dreamkeepers is a thing. It's like that would give us more leverage to actually make it the way we want. Whereas if we're still kind of small, we're still sort of like, most people haven't heard of us, then we wouldn't have as much leverage to make it the way it should be.
After Dave realized he didn't want it to be a TV pitch and he wanted it to be a comic, he thought, and he looked into the idea of doing a 30-page comic every month and having it in comic stores the way everybody else does with Batman and Superman. And that's why when you look at Volume 1 and Volume 2, that's why we have the chapters in 30 segments, because it's left over from Dave trying to get Chapter 1 in stores. But then he did more research on what it's like to make comics and whether or not you want it in a store like that. And he realized that self-publishing might be the way to go.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, when I sit down to read a comic, I always have like a little comic and like 24 pages in, I'm like, I'm starting to get interested, and then it's like done, and it's like, I don't know. I like having like books where it's like you actually get more of a story.
Yeah, you don't get taken out of the loop, so to speak.
That's why we ended up with chapter covers, because those were going to be the title covers of the books every 30 days in the comic store.
Yeah.
So it's leftover bits.
Yeah. Next question. Do you have an ending plan for Dreamkeepers, or are you taking it as it comes?
We have an ending planned.
Okay. That's really just a yes or no question now that I think about it. But please tell me it's far from book 3.
Yeah, I think we've estimated the overall series is going to be like between 16 and 20 graphic novels worth.
And then we can publish them in kind of like larger hardbound editions.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to get me one of those. Do you have any suggestions or helpful tips to aspiring comic authors and artists?
Yeah, I guess so. And cut me off because I might just ramble forever here.
You will.
Do you have any?
I'd say the first thing is develop your cast of characters and do a character lineup and figure out your color swatches so that they all mesh and look good together, because you can have a really great story, but if those character designs are not appealing, I really can't get into it. I would not publish something that isn't appealing.
Yeah, that's like really critical. Like people have to like the characters. They have to like want to see more about the characters. They want to, you know, if they're going to spend all this time reading about the characters, it's got to be characters they're interested in. So they've got to look like you want to look at them for a while. The other thing I would say is after you've got the characters looking good and you have like the cast down and you know they have like different personalities. It's not just like one person. It's not just like a vehicle for saying like one-liners or something. They have to have like, you know, different personas that interact with each other. It's important to have like some idea of how to make a story, and when I started I did not have much of an idea. So I've learned a lot since then. 3 books I would really recommend. This will like just elevate your writing so much. 3 books I'd recommend are Invisible Ink by Brian McDonald, Wired for Story by Elica Cron, and Story Engineering by Larry Brooks. Like those 3 books have made me go from like, I don't know much, but I'm having fun to, oh, that's kind of how it works. But before you read any of that stuff, the things that I had in my head, because Volume 1, I didn't know any of that, and Volume 1 still works pretty good. People are enjoying it a lot. And so the stuff that I had in my head when I was making Volume 1 were like basically 2 important questions. 1, who gives a shit? You know, why is anybody going to care about this? If I like it, that doesn't matter. It's got to be really interesting to anyone that just picks it up and looks at it. Why are they going to be interested? What is it about that that's going to grab their attention? You've got to have that question like really right there. Like, who gives a shit? Why are they going to care? Why is this interesting to them? You have to answer that or yeah.
Real quick about that, there's a little spoiler for the review. There's also something that I compliment, is that a thing that I hate about fantasy, like me and fantasy have like a Rihanna, Chris Brown relationship where I really want to love it, but it keeps punching me in the face. That was mean. But the thing that I hate about fantasy comics, well, stories, is that they spend so much time telling me shit I don't care about. Like, this mine is an ancient mine where dwarves used to cut out gold and farm for 3,000 years. Who gives a fuck? Like, is it important to the plot? No. Then why tell me that? And you do that really, really well. Like, the thing that I use as an example are the scrolls they have, the chat scrolls. Because you don't go into super much depth with telling how it works, like is there Wi-Fi around or whatever. You just show the scroll and say and have the character say, I will contact you through this, and then you you as the reader go, oh, so you can communicate through this scroll. That's all I need to know. So that really works really well, and I can only take my hat off for that. That's really well done.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's always like exposition is one of those things where if there's a lot of information the reader has to know, you have to be careful about how you give it to them, because if you just have a character walk along and be like, here, I'll talk you through this data scroll. This data scroll that we can talk on by communicating on the keypad? Precisely. You know, it's like they know that. They wouldn't say that. So you have to watch how readers get that information, and sometimes you don't need to give the reader all the information. You have to trust that they're smart, they're interested, and they can get 4 when you give them a couple of 2s.
You have no idea how fun this is, because that's exactly the things I'm talking about in the review. There's an entire segment for that. So yeah, it's nice to see that we are on the level there.
We're on the level. You don't know.
Well, Dave says with story writing, you have to remember who gives a shit. Even if you don't have a strong audience when you start a webcomic, and very few people do, you also have to have that drive to keep going and going and going and working with it.
Yeah, let me finish up that like a few tips I would give thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, the first really big important writing thing, even if you don't know anything about writing, you have to know who gives a shit and why. And then the other big important question is like just that why. Like ask why. Like you're like an annoying freaking little 2-year-old. Just ask that about everything in your story. Well, why would this character do that? Why would this happen? Why would this happen? Because if you don't know why, then at some level things aren't really making sense, and readers kind of pick up on that. And especially you need to know why your characters are doing stuff, why they want what they want, because I mean that's the core for actors, and it's the core for stories too. Is like why people do what they do, what's motivating them. If they don't have a reason to be doing something, then it's like then they're just doing stuff, and that kind of like translates, and it doesn't. Exactly. And then Liz brought up probably the other really critical thing is good-looking cast of characters that people like. Who gives a shit? Why are the people doing what they're doing? And then the other thing is a big tip is just persevere.
Dedication.
Yeah, if you give up, then that's it. Whereas if you really, really love what you're doing, if you kind of can't give up because you're kind of a crazy person like me, then just keep on doing it, keep on doing it, keep on learning. Shit's gonna hit the fan, but just deal with it, keep going, and eventually it might get you somewhere.
Well, the thing to remember is that Dave's first book, Volume 1, the illustrations are not as good, I think, as later on in the series. Volume 3, I think, is much tighter. Like, you can tell it's kind of evolved.
Definitely.
Pictures. And the thing to remember is that, we met someone who had a comic book, and it was 30 pages, and it was beautiful, and it was gorgeous. And I would have loved to publish that. That would have been great. Because we self-publish, we can publish other people. But the fact is, she was not continuing with the story. She was just kind of floating around doing whatever she wanted instead of making more comics. And it was beautiful, beautiful work, but the fact is, if we meet someone who's been working for 5 years on their webcomic and it's shown a lot of improvement over the time, we can work with that person. We can publish that, but not necessarily somebody who as like a one-hit wonder, and then, just isn't dedicated to what they do.
Yeah, so be crazy.
Tip of the day, be crazy. Really great tips. I will see if I'm lazy, but I'll see if I can write them in the description, write in the description of the video and try and tell what you guys are telling. For future pupils or future creative authors and artists.
The future people will be helped.
Yeah. God damn it, my English came and bit me in the ears there. Do you have... we have been through that. Did you ever expect Dreamkeepers to be this successful?
I really wanted it to be extremely successful. Like, I had in my head sort of like, oh, I want it to be the biggest webcomic, and, it's going to be great, and we're going to try to get this to the level where it's actually, like, known by people that I haven't met. And so I think I always wanted it to be as successful as possible, and I hit the series, like, really ambitious. And it's definitely not as successful as my wild imaginations, but I think having that ambition has pushed it a lot farther than it would have gone if, I didn't have that mindset.
None of our friends in college took it seriously. Like, they weren't really impressed.
The fools.
Whatever, Dave.
Look at me now, bitch!
They didn't care about it. They thought it was actually a nuisance that Dave was working on something for himself. So he just kept persevering and going beyond them, and we don't talk to them anymore. I don't know. We don't hear from a lot of them. Yeah. But we hear some nice things from other people we knew.
Yeah.
That's nice. It's always nice to be credited for your work. Last question I have, then we'll go on to the viewers, is, and I'll need a picture for this. Will we see more of, let's see if it comes up on camera, this dude? That one.
Yeah.
Leto.
Yeah,
He's
definitely.
fucking pimp. He's the nutsest. I love his design so much.
Do you know what it's from?
No.
Oh, type in, oh gosh, what is she? Secretary bird, and they look like that.
Yeah, it's a real bird, and they just dominate the savannah by like just kicking the shit out of everything. It's like, hey, are you threatening me? Bam, 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 bam. It's like machine
With
gun
their
kick.
feet.
Yeah,
And you literally made that bird a secretary here. Well, the person is standing behind a desk.
Yeah.
Yeah, in armor, but yeah.
And also, it's not like terribly.
Clever bastards.
Like, type in Secretary bird. We did not do them justice. Those things are amazing.
They're scary.
Oh, they're great.
They haunt my dreams.
It's
They're
just
like-
so fucking awesome and majestic.
There's
It's like he can only dream of it. Cosmo, you're never going to be at that
You're
level.
never gonna be at that level.
I'm sorry, Cosmo.
Yeah, you're never gonna be that cool.
They're like up here, and you're like,
Oh.
Okay, and now it's time for the questions from the viewers. Power Plus Productions ask, in your Then and Now video, you show parts of a Barney vs. Vegeta comic. Was it a complete comic, and if so, is there a chance you might upload it to DeviantArt one day?
Oh, you.
that is a complete comic. At some point, I made a comic where I thought, you know what, Barney
Well, now we have to do it.
Barney has it coming.
That sounds good.
So I had him killed by Vegeta. I think Vegeta also killed Quail Man. I liked Dragon Ball Z when I was in high school. So I don't know. Those drawings are in here somewhere, so I will dig those up and post them at some point in time.
Quail Man is from that show Doug that was on Nickelodeon.
Of course he is.
Okay, just making sure.
So yeah, I'll put it up sometime. I don't know when I'll get to it, but it's on my list of stuff to get now.
Okay. Hugo Junstrand, the guy who makes my thumbnails, ask, did you experience any moments during your childhood that influenced your work? If so, what was the biggest or most memorable?
I don't know. I have to think. Do you have any ideas?
I'm going. Seeing the artwork online by Tracy Butler, I was drawing furry animal characters just throughout my entire life. And then I went online when the internet was kind of new and discovered kind of the furry fandom and Tracy Butler's furry characters. And that really, like, kind of sparked the, oh, that's how you could do it. That's how you can make a cartoon, you can make a cartoon fox, but also make it a little more of a serious adult idea. Not pornographically like that, but more of a, I'm sorry. But, you know, a serious character instead of, say, something that pops out of, like, Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, I would say, like, I can think of two kind of, like, relevant incidents. They were both high schoolers, though. One was when Toonami started playing Dragon Ball Z. I remember the first thought I ever had when I saw that cartoon, Gohan was, like, jumping super high, like a mile in the air, and then Piccolo jumped even higher, and he was like, is that the highest you can jump? And my first thought was, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. They make some really dumb stuff, whatever. But then I kept on watching it. I don't know why. I kept on watching it, and at some point they were like all fighting against Nappa, and I was like, oh my gosh, these guys are all so powerful, and he's even more powerful. Whoa! And just something about that like made me realize that there was like really a scale that you could convey in like animation and cartooning that like, you know, there's more to it than just like a cartoon animal flopping around. It's like you can make stuff really seem just like awesome and intense, and I think that's what started making me feel like I wanted to make people feel that kind of like sense of awesomeness and intensity. Yeah, so I kind of wanted to make a show or something like that. And the other thing that I think was really useful, probably the thing that was the most valuable thing I learned in high school, and no, it was not calculus. The most valuable thing I learned in high school was when I was in marching band. It was a very competitive marching band. We went to like state championships, and we had like a rivalry with the other high school. It was cute. But, you know, so we had these intricate formations you had to march in on the field. You had to make like rotating cubes and like just like shapes that would intersect with each other. And if you're wrong by a little bit, your trombone is going to like smash right into like a flag dancer, and there's going to be people hurt. So I realized, you know, there was a lot of precision. You had to have exactly the right amount of steps and everything. And so in practicing, I learned the lesson early on. If something is screwed up, it's because I screwed up. Because, yeah, because like I was like a freshman the first year, obviously, so I was new there. So I just learned that if there's something going wrong, it's probably me, and I probably need to figure out what I'm doing that is causing it, and then I can, you know, correct it and fix it. And I feel like just, I mean, it's an obvious thing, but when you kind of like learn it through experience, it's sort of like it makes you look at yourself and look at the results of what's happening around you and realize if you want different results, figure out what you're doing that can affect it and change that. And I think just that little lesson in high school helped like everything else I've ever done, because I realized, you know, if I want people to read my comic book, well, what am I doing that's helping that or like not helping that? You know, if I want the comic book to be better, if I want it to look this way or look that way, it's like, okay, well, what do I have to do to make that happen? Because if it's not the way I want it, it's, you know, it's because I didn't make it that way.
Yeah, okay. What inspired you, David and Liz, to get the idea for creating What inspired you, David and Liz, to get the idea of creating your characters and the comic? I think we've more or less been over the comic, but the characters.
I can talk about the characters.
Yeah.
Some of the characters, their names are based on mythological ideas. I can throw one out. Lilith and Nama. One of the two characters is supposed to be possessed by demons, and Nama looks a little demonish. So one might say that Lilith is possessed by her sister.
Yeah.
Okay, so we go off of names. That secretary bird you saw, we went off of actual animals as reference, just like what would look cool here, and we type in some stuff. But mostly characters are decided based on their roles that they play. I'm just going to be really vague here, not to spoil anything. We had a character that we created for the series that was going to die. And the purpose of that character in the story arc is to die and have a bit of a message. But we were so pleased with the character and put them in Prelude, the webcomic, that their role changed in the series and they no longer have that tragic ending. So we gave the tragic ending to, I think, somebody else who needed it.
Who needed a tragic ending?
The characters who would be better with a tragic ending, but so that also happens. Is the role in the story is the most important part.
Yeah, and I will say also, it's kind of like a dichotomy because the role in the story is like what matters, but it's like really who the character is and the choices they make that determines their role in the story. So it's like a little yin yang. It's like the role in the story is the most important, but who the character is and what they decide to do determines what the role in the story is, and so just kind of goes around, and yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I think a lot of the inspiration for the characters just comes from like, you basically get a simple idea for like the type of character you're gonna have. Like for example, when like the first time I drew Nama, she was like just the basic type. I was like, oh well, we need a chick that's kind of like a little gothy, a little dark, a counterpoint to all the happy bunny Mason little stuff. So Nama's kind of cool. We'll make her sort of like a darker, edgier character. And yeah, it was just like a simple stereotypical idea. But if you start with a stereotypical idea, you like add some layers to it, and then you start thinking about what is this character thinking and why and where are they coming from, and pretty soon they start to grow into something unique, and that's where it gets fun.
We have a lot of concept art like that we haven't posted anywhere, and we really should.
Yeah.
But I think we are talking about doing like an art book that actually shows all this stuff.
Yeah, someday that'd be cool.
Yeah, someday. But yeah.
Coming up with ideas.
Oh.
Next question. What was your inspiration for this comic, and why do they have non-human protagonists? By the way, just to be fair, the former question was asked by Francine Seymour, and this is asked by Unwavering Blindness. Gotta give credit where it's due.
Alright.
Well, then I have an answer for both of you. I don't know. It basically started when I was when we were coming up with the idea in college, and we were doing, like I said, I was learning animation and stuff, and so part of me was just like, you know what, it'd be really cool if I had like more to work with on these characters, as opposed to just like, here's a human, here's a human, here's a human. It gets kind of old fast, and if we're in the dream world, I can do whatever I want, and I don't need an explanation. It's the dream world. Deal with it. So I was like, okay, well, it's one of the things in animation is you want to be able to look at your character's silhouette, like nothing inside, just like the total silhouette outline. And if you can recognize the characters instantly from a silhouette, then that's a pretty good idea that the design is strong. So I was like, well, then let's make these characters whatever we want. I can have horns, I can have ears, I can have tails. This is going to be fun. We can have them just be total fantasy characters. And then, yeah, so that's the direction we went.
Dave was looking into mythology at the time. He has a lot of notes on it. And Native Americans had a spiritual dream animal. Almost like in Harry Potter, they had the Patronus representing Harry Potter had like a stag. Other people had an otter. But it was the mythology, I think, that really made Dave say, okay, well, what if their Dreamkeeper was animal-based? And I have to say, we can get away with that because we're not really hurting any sensitive. I guess I'm trying to say we're not racist.
No.
Well, you're not.
Oh well. I mean, you look at Nama Lilith, who's green, or Mace, who's a calico cat. You can't really pinpoint what we're doing there.
So you're saying no one is ever going to be able to tell which of our characters is what race?
I have no idea.
We should make that like a board game.
I have no idea.
Guess the race.
Oh, I had like another thought that like popped up when Liz said mythology. A lot of Mesopotamian stuff like seeped in there because I read a book about Mesopotamian culture and dreams, and they believe some wacky stuff. Like they actually did think like the whole Dreamkeepers idea. It's almost like what they did believe. They thought that everyone did have a guardian for their dreams, and if something happened to your guardian, you were basically screwed. Like if people went insane, they're like, oh, his guardian got taken out, and now the evil spirits are just fucking with him, and that's why he's like, like out there going nuts.
So it was a real, actual idea that people believed way back then.
Yeah, like back then they placed a lot of importance on dreams. Like if something happened in a dream, it could be like a prophecy. It could really impact like how people live their lives. Like the book was almost contrasting how dreams were so critical to a lot of earlier cultures, and our culture just almost says like, oh, a dream, then it doesn't matter, and just like shoves it to the side.
Yeah, it's really cool that you have been influenced by stuff like that. It's always cool to see that mixed in with your own little universe. So props for that. Let's see here. Mr. Guchida, I think it is, ask, I'd love to hear about their perspective and approach on character design, as well as their workflow and how they work together.
Oh, cool. All right. It starts with the silhouette, I think.
Yeah.
And again, the purpose. And then, okay, let's say, for example, we have a character who is a guardian of the children who needs to be kind of hardcore, ready to defend them. So we would come up with something. We probably wouldn't use a bunny. We would probably go with something a little stronger.
Yeah, well, you can kind of do the thing where, like, if you needed like a big hardcore protector, it's like you can make like a rock lion, or you could have it be a bunny and then make it like something unexpected and put a twist on it. So it's like you can either go for the predictable or the unpredictable and then twist it.
Yeah, but if you look at our lineup, we have a small character and Whip who kind of floats there, and then we have larger, taller characters like Nama and Mace, and then we have a kind of a blockier character. It's a shark, and we have a griffin. I say it's silhouettes all the way.
Yeah, definitely. And
how they look together. You don't part of the reason I think we didn't do humans is because if you do a lineup of humans, each character really does need to be their own character. Otherwise, you just end up with kind of 5 to 6 people who kind of enter into the why should I care category.
Sometimes, yeah.
Take it away.
I'll take it away. What was I thinking? I had a thought, I swear. This isn't just emptiness. This isn't just like some idiot sitting here with glasses. I'm just laughing at that. You should not laugh at that when I point out the truth. You should help me cover. Damn it. Anyways, yeah, I think another thing with character design is, for me, it's like if I start doodling a lot about the character, like sometimes characters will go through like a lot of different changes, and the more I draw them, the more I kind of get a feel for them, because I don't know how it is for other artists, but when I'm drawing something, I kind of have to like try to simulate what that thing is feeling so I can get its feelings down on the paper. And the more you do that, the more you start to get to know a character by like just like doing all these different sketches of them. The more their personality kind of starts to take shape, and then that makes them take more shape, and so it sort of just like builds on itself.
And when we did character swatches in the lineup, I'm going to take Igrath, for example.
Take him.
Okay. Igrath is a griffin, so he has big eagle wings, big eagle beak. We ended up going with colors of kind of gray and a pastel yellow because it kind of makes him look older, which he is. But one of the very early color concepts was of him in red, white, and blue, which was kind of the biggest, worst thing you could ever do to some eagle character is to... America.
You don't like this character, or you don't like America.
Now, maybe on his own that would be fine, but you put him next to everybody else, and you've got a problem there.
Just go ahead and drape an American flag for the cape.
Like, dude, It was not intentionally like that, but it was a color option that was just like, oh no, look what you did.
Yeah. So, okay, I think we got some good stuff out there on the first part, which is the character like design, and then the other part was the working process. Should I just do like the 10-second rundown?
Yep.
All right, we both talk about what should happen and what would be cool and what makes sense, and then I write a rough draft of the script, and then Liz looks at the rough draft and she's like, oh, David, you're not as smart as I thought, and then we fix the rough draft, and then there's more drafts.
I have a bunch of notes of things we've talked about. We like car talk.
Yeah.
Whenever we drive somewhere, conventions, so like 4-hour drives, we have notebooks in the car, and we just chat, and we write down crazy quotes and stuff like that.
And it'll be like, what if Wisp said this to that? And it's like, oh, actually, that's so good, we should put that somewhere. And so, yeah, lots of brainstorming together, and then we funnel down the script draft together, back and forth, we bat it back and forth. Then I do the thumbnails, and then she edits the thumbnails, and then I finalize the thumbnails, and then I do the blue pencil drawings, and then she's like, this pose is wrong, and then I fix the blue pencil drawings, and then we do the final artwork for the line work, and then she'll take that and she'll block in the characters.
And the backgrounds originally.
Yeah, the backgrounds originally. Now sometimes we have freelancers take some of the background blocking for us.
So it goes quicker.
And then I take that and I do the shading, and she's like, oh, that's the shading, and then she'll fix stuff if there's anything wrong with the shading. She'll also note all the little things that I have like done wrong in the illustration. Like, David, Nama had a backpack in this panel. Why did it vanish in the next panel? I'll be like, because it's an invisible backpack. That's what we do. And then when we have like the final artwork there, then we go in and we do like a final pass on the dialogue, because sometimes it needs to get tweaked a little based on the art.
Because the entire time we're doing all the art, we have the rough story and that's fine, but the individual dialogue changes up until the very last minute, right before we send our books to the printers.
Yeah, I don't know, for some reason the dialogue is wiggly, so it stays alive longer than it should.
Sometimes it'll be like set in stone, and then you see a picture of somebody and they're supposed to be angry, but they look a little crazy instead. So then we'll try to come up with dialogue that would fit that at the last minute.
Yeah, and then we send it to the printer, and that's how we do it.
Okay. Okay, this, now it gets a little personal, not in a bad way though. Taco Dude 66 asks, how did you two meet?
Okay. We met in college.
Yeah, I had some stolen cookies that I was taking door to door on the girls' floors of the dorm, and
he was an RA, and he had to go meet everybody.
Yeah, I needed to abuse my responsibility, so I met.
Real quick, Danish guy here, an RA.
Oh, it's they call it a resident advisor. Basically, it's like a student that lives in the dorms, and if people have like problems or complaints and they want to talk to somebody, they can talk to that student, and then if the student like can't handle it, then the student will like talk to an administrator or something.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So it's basically like someone who's labeled as like responsible. So yeah, stolen cookies, door to door.
I was a freshman and he was a junior.
Yeah.
All right.
And then later that night I bumped into her again, and then we talked a little, and then I was like, okay, well I got to go play GoldenEye, because you don't understand. Like in the weeks before all the students came in, we RAs were there like training for the weeks before. That someone had an N64, they had GoldenEye, and I was like the GoldenEye king. Like, I could destroy everybody. All three of the players could be like, our mission is to take you down! And they couldn't do it. I felt so good. I got good training when I grew up with my brothers. So Liz was like, oh, GoldenEye? I play a little GoldenEye. And I was like, yeah, okay, why not? Come play GoldenEye with us. And so we were playing GoldenEye, and I'm like, I'm the best! And suddenly the game is over. Before I got all the kills that would end the game, I was like, what happened? And it's like, oh, player 3 won the game, they got all the kills. And I was like, oh, that's Liz, okay, that's a fluke, whatever, let's keep on playing. And then the next game, she won again. And it happened like another time, and eventually it's like, no, there's something wrong. We need to establish that I'm the best GoldenEye player. So, one-on-one, in the caves, with grenade launchers, she freaking stomped me. She, like, annihilated me.
Screen watch like none other. I know exactly where you are.
I'd just be running around in the dark, and suddenly I would explode, and I didn't know what was happening, and then I realized that there's something about this girl. So, yeah.
And then we spent a lot of time together. We had Labor Day weekend where there was no school, and we went around the city and like just wandered around because I was looking for the bus stop.
And I was following you everywhere.
Yeah.
So it worked out.
He did that. He did follow me around for
following around, going, teach me how to GoldenEye.
Pretty much. I was just like kind of like a dumb puppy, I guess.
Yeah. Have you ever played that video game, GoldenEye, at all?
I got it right over there.
Seriously?
Oh,
Like the
nice.
old one?
I got the. Hold the fuck on.
We played the old one.
Where the fuck is it? I got all my old games over here.
Do you think it's the truth?
Yeah, but I think he has the new one.
He might just be bluffing, drawing a GoldenEye like logo on a cartridge, and he's gonna be like, "I really have it," and it'll be like fake.
I have
Hold on. I think I know where it is. Hold on.
Well, look, he's probably gonna go print off a GoldenEye cartridge label when he's off screen. And
Suck it!
oh!
Yes.
That is the game.
My brother beat the entire game. Like, he did everything. He beat every part of the levels. So, at home, we had all of the special features with the gold gun and then all the characters, bonus secret levels. It was, like, he's really good, too.
Yeah. So.
But that's where I got all my practices. We play... Off topic, I guess. In the caves with the grenade launchers, we'd shoot them up in the ceiling, and then run around like crazy until they land on us. We'd make other games.
Oh yeah, shoot up wars.
Shoot up wars. Yeah. It's like like the bomb is gonna land on you, so run in circles and try to figure where it's gonna go.
In proximity mines.
Yeah, and throwing things at each other.
Did you ever play Perfect Dark?
No.
It's basically the same thing, but I remember my brother and we used to play Felicity because it was spelled wrong, and he would cover me in remote mines, and I would just run out to the opponents and he would blow me up.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
There's that trick in what is it, the bunker, the snowy level, where if you blast all the TVs, you can get your mine to float in the air. It doesn't throw, it actually just sticks in the air. So what you could do is have somebody run down the hallway and then they think they're safe, and then right in their faces is mine, and you just click, blow up.
I had no idea what I was getting into.
Yeah, so you were looking for a bus stop?
I was. I had praying mantises at the time. I was raising, and do you know what they are?
Mantises, yeah.
It's a big bug.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I needed to pick up some crickets from a store to feed them, but we weren't supposed to have any animals in the dorm, so I was trying to, just kind of undercover. I gotta take a bus to the pet store just to look around.
No reason.
But we didn't end up finding the bus stop.
Oh, yeah. Was that the time when I accidentally kicked you in the face?
No, that was later that night.
Okay.
Okay.
Some say love. No, okay.
You came close though. You were swinging on it. Dave climbs trees, and he would jump up. Oh, and he'd bounce off buildings too. Bounce off walls, like do a jump, don't kick off of it. And he jumped up this tree and like swung and nearly kicked me in the face with a full leg swing.
And then it's been happiness ever since.
Yay! The Dying Dutchman asks them about their pets and how those influence some of their characters. You should get there's something called punctuations, man. Dying Dutchman asks them about their pets and how those influenced some of their characters, and then we'll just forget the rest.
Right. Well,
we saw Cosmo.
You saw Cosmo the parrot. He's not very influential.
Should we get the queen?
Do we need to get the queen?
I think
we just talk about the queen.
If we're gonna talk about her, there's a video camera right there. We should just show.
All right, I'll get her.
Wake Her Majesty up.
All right, I'll get her. You can set up the camera over there when she walks in.
Oh, she's gonna walk in.
She could do it.
Okay.
All right.
Should I be worried? Because I'm a little worried.
You can be worried. No, we've had a variety of pets over the years. I'm allergic to fur, so we had lizards and geckos and tree frogs, tarantulas, lizards. It's called a tegu, which is a monitor lizard.
Oh yeah, it's like if Satan was a lizard. Pretty much.
I had the mantises, I had butterflies, all the mess. But the thing about all of them is that they're either not very interesting, or they don't live very long. Like, the praying mantises only live 6 months to a year. So that was really depressing. So I tried gecko, tarantula, all that stuff. And eventually settled on alligator. Just because they had an alligator at the store, and it was sort of one of those, I never did that before.
See,
I'm never gonna, like, this is college, you're supposed to do crazy stuff.
When your girlfriend says something like, wouldn't it be cool if we had an alligator? You could just stay in the tub. It's like, don't ever be like, ha ha ha, she's just joking. No, you take that shit seriously.
It wasn't really the bathtub. I had this great idea that if you put the aquarium underneath the kitchen sink, you could just live your normal life, and then once in a while just open up the cupboard and there's an alligator.
Actually,
and you feed it. Yeah.
Like for the first couple of years, she was still in college, and you're not allowed to have any pets.
But as you can tell by that list, they weren't very good at catching me.
Let alone, yeah, but like especially with an alligator, it's like, well, they might really not like, you know, an alligator. So she had it, and Tally was like a little baby alligator at the time. So Liz had it set up to the point where she was actually had a secret little pool inside of one of her drawers. You pull the drawer out, and there's just like stuff in there. It looks like a cluttered normal drawer, and then you secretly open it up, and there's a little alligator, and you're like, "What are you looking at?"
Anyway, as you just heard, the point is.
I go get her. You.
Oh no! She'll do her entrance. That'll be great.
Okay.
But as you just heard, Dave did a funny voice for the alligator, and so that funny voice of the alligator kind of became one of our demons' voices.
Yeah, Scuttles.
And then it also kind of becomes the voice of like some of our other characters that I can't really think of.
Yeah, it's weird for a reptile that has no facial muscles or ability to emote.
So much personality.
Yeah, there's a lot more personality than you would expect.
Okay, so my plan is I'm gonna open the door and we'll call her in. And if you can move the camera just for her to walk in.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. I'll go get her.
I'm full on expecting a fucking dragon to appear now or something.
She's
She's about the
cute.
size of a cat.
Yeah. All right.
Nice.
Hold on, camera. Do you have a grip on something?
I'm holding.
All right. Here we come, save the day. It's the floor. Yeah, get the alligator. Cool.
Tally! She's halfway out, too. Tally! Tally! Dun, 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 dun. Tally! Dun, 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 dun. Come on! Come on. Hey!
Holy shit!
Yeah. Where's the camera? Not the slippers. Where's the camera? You have no idea. Go look at the camera.
Yeah, is the camera a sausage? I don't think she cares.
That's adorable!
Yeah.
Not sure. How are we doing? Aww.
Tally, are you surrounded by people that you hate? Which would be people in general?
She's gonna try to eat it.
She is. Yeah, if the signal suddenly cuts out.
We now know why.
She does have a thing about, she sees her reflection in the camera and she thinks it might be food. So she'll maybe bite a camera once in a while.
So, what exactly is that? Like, in the complete, like, I know there's different kinds of cats, there's different kinds of dogs. What is that?
That is an American alligator.
That's an American alligator.
America.
America.
I did not know you could have an alligator as a pet.
It depends on where you live. For example, I got her in Ohio about 8 years ago, and it was perfectly legal, which is why I got her at a pet store. Perfectly fine. They ended up having more alligators. But recently Ohio changed their laws a little bit, and we ended up moving, so we're still legal.
Yeah, it's always fun when you're doing something and it's fine, and then years later, like the government's like, "Hey, you know what? Now you're a criminal."
We're not going to do anything about that yet, but any day we could let you know that we know you're a criminal.
Yeah.
And they,
You're fucked.
oh man, Ohio. What happened in Ohio was a guy who had lions and tigers and bears. Literally had those. And what he did was he let all of them out of their cages and then committed suicide. So there were all these wild animals that the police had to go and kill.
Yeah, they had to like shoot a lion and stuff. It was
not pretty.
Not optimal.
So they passed a exotic law, and on their list of everything you couldn't own, alligators and like 6-foot pythons.
Yeah,
were on there.
Essentially, if it wasn't a kitten or a dog, you're breaking the law.
Oh yeah, I think
so.
Iguanas may have entered. I don't know.
Iguanas became dangerous exotic animals.
It was silly.
I think if you have like a corn snake, it's like you're a threat to society. So they actually built like $1 million facility with like electrical fences and barbed wiring and these concrete pits to keep these dangerous animals in that they were going to collect from everybody.
And of course, anybody who has anything close to a 6-foot python or an alligator, they're either going to give up their pet and say, screw all this, I'm not doing it, or they're going to be as quiet as possible. Yeah. And we were just really quiet until we moved.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last time I heard, I think they had like 4 animals in this gigantic facility because that's how many people like volunteered to like give up their pets. It's like 4 people.
Yeah. Because you get people in Ohio who really did have wolves and walls of snakes. It was kind of crazy. I mean, other people had alligators and folks had crocodiles.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
But
the golden 8 years.
Yeah. By the way, an alligator is a great pet. Not if you want to abide by the law in Ohio, but if you want to go to conventions and stuff, because you can just leave an alligator in like a room for like 2 weeks with some water, and they're perfectly fine. You don't have to like feed them every day. It's really low maintenance.
You just have to watch your feet, which is why the slippers were really handy. She's watching us now, actually. She's spying on us.
Yeah, comforting. I know.
Yeah.
It's really weird for a Dane to hear about all those laws about what pets you can own, because in Denmark, no one gives a fuck about what you do. Like, I could own a fucking bear, and people were like, you got a fucking bear? And that's about it. Like, there's no laws or anything about stuff like that.
Do you guys, like, live in horrible anarchic chaos then, or do
not really, no. We are known for being the happiest country in the world.
Oh.
Wait, how can you be the happiest country if you don't have all these laws?
Yeah, you would think there was a reason. I think we are about reaching the last question here, which is from Shane O'Brien, and I like this one. How did you two discover the Webcomic Relief, and what is your favorite Webcomic Relief episode?
Cool. I discovered the Webcomic Relief. I joined Google Plus because I was like, whatever, I should probably join Google Plus. It's not like I have a choice. So, and then at some point, I don't know where it came from, but in my update stream, there's something called like Webcomic Relief, like Webcomic Review Caribbean Blue, and I was like, oh, there's a webcomic reviewer. That's pretty cool. So I checked it out, and I was like, hey, this guy reviews webcomics. There's someone reviewing webcomics with like video reviews on a regular basis. That's pretty cool. And so I watched some videos, and I was like, I have a webcomic.
He actually typed something there.
So I was like, me! And you were like, okay. And so I was like, yes. And yeah, out of all the episodes, I think my favorite one, like, I have, I think, 2 favorites. One, just the saga of Sonichu is... No one else is going to be brave enough to do that again.
Or dumb enough.
It's like the best documentation of that phenomenon, and it's just like almost like mind-bending when you really start to get into it, and it's fascinating. It's fascinating in a very strange way. And the other one that I really liked was I forget who it was. It was the one where she had these characters, and there was like a shadow world that they were going into, and it was the lady that like does all the tracing.
What Dreams May Come by Jackie Diaz.
Yes, What Dreams May Come. I thought that one was Cosmo. You enjoyed it. Shut up. That one was pretty fun, and especially I like that one because I recognized. I don't know if anyone else caught it, but at one point, when they're saying the prayer to go into the other world or something like, "For thee, my Lord, for thee,"
The
like,
Boondock Saints prayer.
yeah, it's from the Boondock Saints. It's like word for word. She lifted it from a really popular movie. It's like, how could you even? And it'd be one thing if she gave credit, like, hey, and this part was from the Boondock Saints, a movie I love, in the credits or whatever. But it's like, no, how can you just take that and not even think twice about it? Like, people aren't gonna know.
I think the worst part is when I first covered her webcomics, How I Became Yours, the one where she ripped off Avatar. One of her friends contacted me and was really up in arms because she claimed that I was bullying JDS and stuff. And said like she creates all this art on her own and like denied all the tracing and stuff and told me that it was easy for me to do these reviews because I was living in my parents' basement. Now it's fun because behind me at that time are 2 windows. Where the hell would they go if I was in a basement?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed those. Those were really fun to make as well.
Yeah, that's too bad people go ad hominem sometimes.
Just something to note, we don't really watch a lot of things. We don't sit down and then just like watch like The Walking Dead or anything. We work to stuff. So Dave actually like does his drawing while he's watching your reviews.
Yeah. Yeah, like a lot of when Volume 4 comes out, you should know that like most of Chapter 11, like I have my drawing desk and then like a laptop on the side. Like I was just going through all your reviews when I was like doing like Chapter 11 pencils.
Mm-hmm. That's super humbling. You got no idea.
Well, that's like entertaining stuff. That's what happens.
I hate to ask this question because it will sound like I'm stroking my own ego, but has any of the tips or guidance I've given throughout the reviews has any of that taken? Have you taken any of that into consideration and thought that's dumb or that's a good idea or stuff like that?
I haven't thought anything is dumb that you've said tip-wise, and I thought it was a nice feature in a review because most reviews, they'll just be like, and they're entertaining, but they'll just tear stuff down and make fun of it, and yeah, it's fun to watch, but there's not a lot of positive aspects, so, excuse me, I need to drink some water. There we go. Now
Okay.
I'm back. Anyways,
you good?
yeah, we're good. But, so when you first had like a tip, it's like, well, here's how you should do it, and here's what works, and here's how to do it right. I was like, hey, he's actually like doing something like affirmative in the midst of this review, so it's like actually helpful. And yeah, I thought that those were all like pretty good tips, and like, yeah, pretty good tips. It's something that makes me like kind of like want to keep on watching because it's like I might get more tips. Tips are good.
The reason I'm asking is because it's something I have had up in the air a lot of times where. Are people using these, or is it just me letting off steam? Do I even know what the fuck I'm talking about? So I just wanted some input on that.
I would say, even if it is just you letting off steam or whatever, I would say let it off. Because if in your gut there's something that's like bothering you about like something you're reading, and you really want to say something about how you as a reader would like it to be different. That's really, really valuable for any creator to have like a reader actually be like, here's the thing that's bothering me. I've identified why it's bothering me, and I've identified why I would like it to be different. Like, that's good for creators to know. That's excellent for us to know. So if there's something that's really getting to you and it makes you think of something, yeah, I would say just toss it out there. And if people use it, good. And if they don't use it, oh well, it's not like it's punching anyone in the face.
I would just hate to come across as... I think the English word is presumptuous.
Presumptuous? Yeah.
You're okay.
Yeah, you're okay. I think you're fine.
You're fine.
Good. I think that's about all the questions I had, and all the viewers have had their questions. Well, there is one. Why do I dream of jelly every night? But I don't fucking know.
It's probably something Freudian, but I don't think we can talk about it on the air.
Oh no. We would have to find graphs and pictures and but yeah, is there anything you would like to say before we end this 1 hour interview?
Well, I'd like to ask, is there anything that you thought we could improve on in our series? As far as a reviewer, like what is missing?
I hold on. Got it right here.
Oh,
Excellent.
I got a big. I don't got a big list, but I got the review here, and as always, when there's something good, I tend to bring out what I would love to, like the bad things at last, because I think it's not as cool to say here's the good thing, here's the bad thing, here's the good thing. Like it feels better when you can. Like people tend to lose their interest over the course of a review. So if I want to get across that this is really bad, then I bring out the bad first, and then I bring out the good later. But let's see. Fuck. I didn't have anything for the writing. I think you guys just nailed that. I think in the art department, I'm mentioning how the borders of the frames of the comic, especially during the fight between, like the very first fight you see in the comic, it's kind of hard to see if there's a border between the frames or if it's like a part of the fight, because there's all these details, like things are flying around, there's hair over there, there's tables over there, there's debris over there. So it can be a little, like, if you sit down and look at it for long enough, you'll start to see it. But when you're like, when it's an action scene, you tend to go through it really fast. And so it's kind of hard to see when it's a frame and when it's not. Later in the comic, you have one character running away from a goo character. Try not to spoil too much, and that was done really, really well, because there was not as much debris, there was not as much stuff flying around, so you could more easily tell what frame was coming after the other. So that was one thing I had. And for the characters, the names, we were over that before with the whole mythology and stuff. Sometimes I thought the names were a little too grand. Like you would have Maze and Lilith and Nama, and then you would have Nabonidus, or however you pronounce that. It becomes a little fantasy, too much fantasy when you got like these normal names. What is here? Also, sometimes the comic introduces a little too many characters at the same time. I'm referring to where we are first introduced to the Resistance. There was a lot of characters like going like that. But because you're a fantastic writer, you later find out who these characters are. But at first you're going, oh shit, there's a lot of people now. And the last thing is, it's not a bad thing. It's just something I would like to see, because you have all these really, really great characters. You know what makes them tick. You know why they act like they do. You got their motivation down and all that stuff. So maybe it'll show up later in the series. But I think it would be really cool to see one of these characters act like, when you have established what the character would do, if you make them do something they normally wouldn't do, and try and use that as a plot point. Like, why would... Like, I don't think it's spoiling too much when saying that that Mace has a strong sense of justice. He's a very... Like, he wanted to do right. And, like, I'm not saying this is what it was supposed to happen or anything, and it's a horrible idea now that I mention it, but, like, have him do something bad. Then you would see something's wrong here. And if you if you later discover that he had a good reason for doing it, it makes those actions that more powerful.
Yeah, so you're basically like kind of saying that once you have like expectations like solidified and the reader knows what they can rely on, then when you do something different, they're going to know there's a reason, and that's going to create suspense because they want to know what the reason is, because they know there is one. They know it's not just random happenings.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, say you are watching Superman, and suddenly one day you see Superman sucker kick a baby, then you know something is up, and like you can build on that. Like, just have Superman sucker kick a baby, and then 6 volumes later start touching on the subject, people will, throughout those entire 6 volumes, be like, "Why the fuck did he kick a baby?"
Nice, thank you.
It's probably the only real things that I got. I can only say that if you like being praised, you should look forward to the review.
Oh no.
I got the script done. I got the stuff where I record over the images done. I only need to do the acting, which is horrible because I need to iron a shirt, and I don't do that often.
I was gonna say, like before we wrap it up, I did have one question, just if you don't mind, for you.
Okay, go ahead.
Because like doing the reviews, it takes a lot of critical thinking. It takes a lot of work to put it together, and especially to like continue doing it, that's like a lot of dedication. So I guess I'm just curious, like, when did you know that you really wanted to make video reviews of webcomics? Like, what was it that kind of like made you interested in like going for it and putting all that work into it?
There is this site called A Guy with the Glasses, which is a site full of different web reviewers. And I used to look up to a lot of those characters. And I thought, hey, what would be funny? And then I thought, what can I review? What would set me apart from everyone else? And I was like, I can do video game reviews because I love video games. And then I saw there was like a billion of those, and then I said, fuck. Then I started thinking that I was at the time making my second webcomic, and I was like, I'm making webcomics. No one reviews webcomics. And webcomics needs to be addressed because it's a really great medium, because it's not punctuous pricks who make stories all the time. So I thought that I wanted to touch on that. The first review I ever did was completely without script. I just had a basic idea of what I wanted to talk about, which is why I'm stumbling across the words. I don't know what the fuck to do. The fact that I have characters in my verdicts now is because of that. I have fought throughout 3 seasons about removing it because I just did shit on the fly. But I think it was really when I started doing the Sonichu Saga, really, when I thought to myself, this is really fun and people are enjoying it, and like I got all these, like I've been really lucky. Many reviewers, when they throw up the first reviews, they will be told all kinds of profanity, like you suck, and me having a natural handicap of being Danish, so my English is not all that perfect. I was just amazed to see the positive feedback I got. And when I started reading, like I would get private messages saying, like, there's one real touching. I won't mention the person's name because it's really personal. But a person was going through chemo, and the person was watching my videos, and said that that helped the person getting through the chemo. And then I thought, if I can make a difference by making dumb reviews, then I wanna do that because I enjoy doing it. And like I want to do with Dreamkeepers here, where if there's a really good comic, I want to give it attention, because webcomics is a medium that is overlooked.
Agreed. Completely agree.
Cool.
That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And like, thank you for sharing like the nice compliments and like
the history behind it.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know, I have like 2 cents worth. I think especially like, you know, like the longer culture goes on, it's like more and more movies get made every year, and I feel like movies and webcomics and everything, like stuff is just kind of like stacking up at a faster rate than ever before. So for future generations, they're going to have like all these different things from their own time and from times past that they're going to have to be like, if I want to be entertained or if I want to know something, what do I pick? What do I look at? I mean, there's going to be so much that I feel like having reviewers and things like that to help index the things that are good and like call attention to stuff, I feel like that's going to become increasingly relevant as time goes on, and as there's more and more media out there, because, you know, people need a navigator when there's like just overwhelming tons of stuff.
Yeah. So I think I touched the subject in one of my other videos where I said that I used to work as a travel consultant, was the official title, for a ferry company. and like we would have nothing to do like 90% of the time, and then that's when I started reading webcomics for like really much, and I would find tons of shit, tons of dumb, boring, going nowhere comics with horrible art and stuff. And then whenever I found some really good comics, I would like read them through. And I was like, if only there could be someone out there who could distinguish the good from the bad. And I guess that also helped a little with it.
Cool.
But really, thank you guys so much for doing this. It's like I keep saying, it's super humbling. I wrote that to you a ton of times because like it's. I should really have thrown up the review before this. When you have such amazing authors and artists contacting you after doing this show and sending me like all this stuff, I mean, I little secret, I was really close to crying when I sat over there and received these because it was so humbling. So really, thank you guys for taking the time off to you know talk a little with me. Of course, also for sending me this, and not just be all around great people who make really great comics.
Oh.
So yeah, that's basically my closing statement, I think.
Okay.
Cool. My closing statement is, I like you, and I hope this was entertaining to anyone watching.
I'm pretty sure that it is.
Okay.
So let's see, I'll just stop the recording now.